been going since about 6 a.m., I think. We shouldn't plan these this way. No chance. Okay. Yeah, just start with a few things and open it up to questions. Number one, just because we just were able to accomplish something I've hoped we could accomplish for years, which is to expand the replay system. It's always hard to get 24 votes, but I think we really, really worked at it. And for me personally, what it really relates to is the integrity of the game. The largest plays in the game that are difference makers typically are defensive pass interference and offensive pass interference. There's others as well, but those two are incredibly important, and we've never been able to challenge those. We've never been able to have a system where in the final minutes of a game or a half, they're automatically potentially changed or studied. It's the chances of having a game-changing mistake are minimized if you can at least, challenge it or have New York ending up challenging it. So it's, I think it's just, it's something important. And for me, we deal in a sport we love. Our fans and all of us are incredibly passionate. We invest so much blood, sweat, and tears, and to have a key game, whether it's a playoff game or just any game during the regular season, come down to a human mistake. The referees are doing the best they can. They're not going to be perfect. None of us are. How should they be? You need a backup system. The technology's there, and it's about time. And just pleased to play a part in having an important change to our system there. It really does come down to integrity for me, and everything we do, whether it's running an NFL team or the rules we create or our vision for how a team should be in the community. Number one, really happy that evolved. Number two is I'm pleased to see some things with the NFL in terms of we've made a lot of rule changes the last few years to improve health and safety, and we're starting to see finally some of the real advantages in some of those rules and equipment and data analysis to create better cleats and all that kind of stuff. And, to have a significant drop in concussions, was it 29% drop in concussions since last year, 45% fewer games missed by quarterbacks. Those are big deals. That's really important. It's something that it's 1 year, and we've got to really stay at it. We've got to enforce those rules. Sometimes people are critical of how we enforce the rules. We need to enforce those rules to maintain that level of safety and even get safer. And our athletes deserve it. Our kids deserve it in terms of Pop Warner and high school and junior high and everything. We've got to stay on that, and integrity and safety, two huge priorities of mine, and I'm really happy we're heading in that direction. To me, the biggest news in the NFL the past year is we have quite a few exciting young quarterbacks. That is the biggest change in the NFL. We're lucky to have one of them, and it's really. We always said that the scarcest position and the most important position is quarterback, and we're starting to see the evolution of terrific college quarterbacks having great success in the pros at an early age. Bodes well. I think that's why TV ratings are way up, and it's crucial. We're also seeing another interesting trend, which is that quarterbacks who are terrific quarterbacks can play into their 40s. And that bodes well for all these young guys that are coming into the league and starring at age 23, 24, 25. MVP level seasons, Carson the year before and Mahomes this year, and unbelievable. There's a chance that these kind of guys can play until their 40s. So it's amazing to watch Drew and Tom still playing at the level they do. It's incredible. Just a few more things, and you'll have plenty of time for questions. I think one of the other things, maybe all of us are used to it in terms of the Eagles culture in Philadelphia. We've always kind of had an approach where the players are our partners, and we do so many things together, from community work, social justice initiatives this past year. But we have a philosophy that the culture we want to develop, and we have, is a very close relationship with our players. I'm seeing it across the NFL now, and it's really great to see it. I talk to other owners that are having a very comparable culture and situation with their teams, and working together. We're in such a polarized society today, incredibly polarized society, that if you can have a football team and its players as a partnership, you can really make a difference. And it's a great example, I think, in society that you can work together on things, and you don't need to have a polarized position. And we can do so many great things together if we work together, and that's another thing. I mentioned TV popularity. It's actually pretty remarkable. 19 of the top 20 shows on television are NFL games. Not surprising to all of us because we love the sport, but it's pretty remarkable. And again, I do credit it to the quarterback play and the competitiveness of the games, and a lot of the rules that have created dynamic offenses. And I think it's what fans want, and we have a lot of offensive playmakers and coaches that are really bright. We're lucky to have a head coach like that in Doug. And anyway, that's NFL-wise. Eagles-wise, I'm just very excited for 2019. We've only finished the past season a few weeks ago, but very excited for every aspect of 2019. Just really impressed by Doug and his coaching staff. To follow winning the Super Bowl with some ups and downs of the past season, and remaining so poised, even-keeled, focused, dynamic, and just as impressive as the year we won the Super Bowl last year. So very pleased with that. Howie is dynamic, creative, smart. I think we all know that, and he's surrounded himself with a terrific front office staff, and I'm lucky to have all these really terrific people on our football operations side. Our players, incredible resilience, excellent locker room, impressive people in the community, and a terrific young quarterback and leader in Carson. Just everything you'd ever want. So I think our future is very bright. We certainly have a philosophy of, in the present, trying to win another championship, and at the same time not sacrificing the future in any significant way. So it can be done, and I think that's what we've been doing the last few years, and it's going to continue that way, where we're going to be aggressive for the present. We think we can compete at the very highest level 2019, and at the same time plan for 2020, 2021, and be as good a football team as we can be. So that's kind of it. You didn't even give me a chance to ask any questions you want.
I wanted to beat less.
You did. Howard.
Okay, one rule that you submitted was approved.
Yes.
Okay. The one that you withdrew, with Dallas playing every Thursday night on Thanksgiving, I kind of have an idea why you don't like that. Will you tell me why you withdrew that so they get to play at home every Thursday night on Thanksgiving?
Okay, so, over the years we've analyzed this, and our opinion is that every team, nobody wants to play away on Thursday night on a short week. And we always feel it should be a balanced schedule in terms of teams that have to play on a short week away. That's all. It has nothing to do with Thanksgiving. It's a great tradition in Detroit, Dallas, whatever. But just on a competitive basis, as soon as you look at the schedule, you want to know, are you away on a short week on a Thursday? And, we've been resilient. We beat Carolina the year before, a big game, 2 good teams. But that was what we were trying to accomplish.
So why did you withdraw it?
There wasn't enough support at this point, but, you got to start the conversation somewhere. And on behalf of our fans, we start that conversation.
Just the replay rule, with the pass interference, you think that this kind of paves the way for maybe expanding it down the road? With,
I do. And listen, we proposed, and we'd like to see happen, and we've wanted this for quite a long time, is not just pass interference, offensive and defense, but roughing the passer and hits to a vulnerable receiver. Those are a vulnerable player at whatever place on the field. Those are the two, more for player safety than anything else. We thought, kind of hoping we could get that approved this year, but as somebody said to me, I know you didn't get that, but you got to walk before you can run, and we'll be at it, pushing that for next season.
You mentioned the future of the franchise. Obviously, a big part of that is going to be Carson's contract whenever it comes.
Yeah.
Because of the magnitude of that deal, do you want to be more involved in the creation of it and seeing it through?
By more involved, what do you mean? Like,
as opposed to any other contract that goes through?
Listen, they're all complicated contracts. We've planned for this for a few years, and all of our planning is in place to be able to. The blueprint is always: can you find a franchise quarterback? Is he going to be the personality and the leader and the talent that you want? We're very, very lucky to, have somebody like Carson. We planned for this, and that's exactly where we are going forward.
Based on his injury history the last couple of years, would you feel comfortable if that happened this offseason?
Yeah, I think. Listen, he played his whole rookie year, durable, and absolutely, he's. When you draw it up, I think it's exactly what you want. A highly competitive, very type A personality, demanding, very smart, obsessed with winning and winning big, respected by everybody. You can't really draw it up much better, and we're lucky to have him.
Where do you come down on the benefits of having a quarterback on his rookie deal versus getting him locked in so you don't have to pay more later?
Right. I think you always have the benefit when you draft a young player at any position, but particularly quarterback, in the first 3 or 4 or 5 years. There's no question about it. But I think most organizations plan for the moment when you're going to be spending top dollar for a franchise quarterback. So it's part of the blueprint. You don't want to not get Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and you hope, your own quarterback. So it's what you hope happens. And then you've got to plan very carefully, how are you going to build your roster when you have to pay your quarterback a certain amount of money? And so, that's gone into it for the last few years. And as we project forward, it's all there. And that's, you just gotta know, where do you want to be in 2019? Where do you want to be in 2020? Very detailed. Construct your roster, your resource allocations, and your age demographics, and all that kind of stuff. And that's what we do.
In a previous year, I think it might have been here a couple of years ago, you had said that you wanted to get back to the old Andy Reid days where you would draft a quarterback either every year or every other year, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And there's no need to, obviously, the last few years with Nick and Carson.
Yes.
And whatever. Do you kind of want to get back to that now? That
I do. I think, you do it opportunistically. I absolutely do. I think I would expect us to, if not every year, every other year, try to find a quarterback that can be part. We're very conscious of the culture. And that quarterback room, we've had an incredible quarterback room with Carson, Nick, and Nate. Just incredible. It's I think one of the reasons they're all so poised for success. That quarterback that we bring in, let's say it's this year's draft or next year's draft, needs to be a great fit in that room. So you're not just drafting a player that can be a good backup quarterback, but somebody that can help the culture with the quarterback who is starting. So you want a sort of a relationship that's very healthy and help each other, and that's a key part of it too.
You've spoken to us about short-term, mid-term, long-term
Yep.
plans. Because of the dearth of draft picks in recent years, you
Yep.
really don't have the amount of young talent that maybe you had in past years. What do you expect to do to rectify that, and how
Yep.
critical is that for your long-term success?
It's a great question, absolutely critical. We basically planned it exactly how it's gone, in the sense of we didn't have as many draft picks. We've had some good young players, really good young players, but volume of draft picks. We believe in volume. We're not cocky enough to feel that you're going to draft way better than anybody else, and it's very important to create volume. This draft, we're going to have good volume, especially in the top of the draft, 2 2s and 2 4s to go with our 1. And next year, we're going to have quite a few draft choices. It's very important. So when you look ahead over the next 13 months, we're going to be adding about 20 draft choices. You're going to have some undrafted players make the team. And so you can imagine there's probably going to be about 20 to 25 players that are going to be 22 years old, 23 years old on our roster. And we plan for that. And to Howie's credit in the front office, what they've done is I think they always balance this, and they sort of analyze, should you sign a player who is a potentially good starting player at age, say, 31 or 30, versus a low-level starting player who's a lot younger. So when I talk to Howie, it's always about what is the next 2 years going to be in that comparison. You get the 25 or 26-year-old in his second contract, but he's a low-level starter. His team didn't want him, and maybe he can be a low-level starter for us at best. Or you can get a guy who can make an impact, several guys that can make an impact, and we're banking on them for 1 to 2 years. And so that's resource allocation. It's with the idea of what we're going to be allocating for quarterback and for every other position, and the notion that we're going to have about 20-odd players, coming onto our roster in the next 13 months. An interesting stat in the league, and we'll be consistent with that, is that I think 65% of the players in the league are in their first to third years. So when you think about that, and where will we be in about 13 months, I bet we're pretty close to that.
With the importance of the draft and all these picks
Yeah.
for these next 2 years, Joe Douglas's influence on the draft is obviously key to you guys having success there. 2 years ago at this time, I think at the interview you said that the addition of Joe was one of the best offseason moves you had made. What's your assessment of how he's done so far, and what do you anticipate him doing in the draft?
Yeah, I think Joe is, Joe's terrific. The team that Joe and Howie have built have been terrific. It's really not one person. I think the longer you're in this, it's a lot of voices and a lot of trying to figure out. You've got a lot of close call choices, and Joe does a terrific job. And I think we've been fortunate enough to attract a lot of really good people in the whole scouting and the analytics area. It's what I've always wanted, and I think we have a great team. We brought in Andrew Barry recently, terrific, young executive, and Andy Weidel. We've got a slew, and we also at some point are going to lose executives. When you're winning, you're going to lose executives, and I think we're in a great position to be able to deal with that. But we don't want to put a cap on how many good executives we have in football operations. That would be a competitive mistake. So we are always looking for who we think some of the best young talent is in the country in terms of bringing them to us. And it's not like this person's in this position and that's that. We are constantly wanting to add to it, just as we would with the roster.
A couple of the other people sort of in that mix who we don't see a lot of, Tom Donahoe and Alec Hallaby. Can you just kind of
Sure.
explain what their roles have been and kind of where they've brought value to the operation?
Absolutely. Tom, it's been a senior advisor for years for us. He's like a really, I would say just a guy who you can bounce anything off of. Howie, Joe, everybody uses Tom to bounce ideas off of. He's got decades of knowledge, and he's just I wouldn't want to call him a wise old man because he'd get angry at me, but I just did. But he's a great guy, and just someone who's a senior advisor. And Alec is just a very sharp guy who combines, in a very good way, his analytics and his experience in strategy, roster building, and all that. So two valuable pieces of the organization.
Speaking of analytics, you guys have always kind of been on the forefront of the league of
Yeah.
using them. Now that more teams are doing it, do you feel like you have a leg up on them in that regard?
I don't know about a leg up, but we are pretty obsessed with it, and we're always looking to figure out how we can be much better at it. We don't know, and we don't really. It doesn't matter. We have to be the best we can be, and it's not just about mining lots of data. We will collect a lot of data. It's what you do with it, and I think that's the key. Without revealing any details of what we do, I think it'll always be a priority.
On the replay room,
replay thing.
Yes.
You heard from a couple people leaving that room that Jason Garrett spoke to the room and had a pretty influential talk with the folks in there, but also your name came up.
Right.
Did you address the room, and
Yeah.
what was the gist of what you said, and why do you think maybe it got across the way it did?
Right. No, the gist of what I said was I just think that integrity is the most important thing we're dealing in the National Football League. It has to be, along with safety, health and safety, the two most important things that we deal with and have to prioritize. And to me, I directly link utilization of technology and backing up human error at times with creating outcomes that at least are your best attempt at getting it right. And I always feel the NFL should be branded as an arbiter of truth. People rely on us for accuracy. It's never going to be 100%. It's impossible. We're human, but we have the capabilities. So my talk with the owners and the general managers and all the coaches, executives there was much more philosophical about integrity and making sure that we didn't leave today until we solved the issues of expanding replay in the way we did.
When you guys walked in this
Michael.
morning,
Yeah.
what was your feeling on the likelihood of getting something passed?
I was worried about it. I said to somebody, I don't care if we have to stay till midnight. I want to get this done. And we owe it. When you ask, we're an entertainment company, we're a football company, we're a football league. You're asking people to devote their heart and soul. You're asking your players, your coaches, and your fans to devote, and ourselves, our heart and soul to it. It's not just your manufacturing shoes. And if you're asking people to deliver their emotions to the product that you're presenting, then you owe it to everybody that you're presenting it to be as accurate as humanly possible. And that's it just has to be that way, and I hope we can continue to do that. Just as a little backdrop, I never really talked about this before, but I've supported every proposal to expand replay for the last decade. Bill Belichick had a proposal to expand it to multiple play, any play, and not to create more challenges, limit it to the 3 challenges, if you're right with 2 and you get a third, but why not try to basically correct anything? And I've always voted for that, but this was a start, and I think a really, really good start.
The part of the rule that you guys were responsible for, can you explain that and why you brought it up?
Which rule are you talking about, Les?
On the replay, expansion of replay, and
There wasn't.
There was a subset that had to do with penalties called on touchdown or scoring plays.
Yeah, that was just an add-on. With our main thrust was expanding replay, getting offensive and defensive pass interference, and player safety violations on it. One added wrinkle we put in was, and it got incorporated into this rule change, was that if you score and it's nullified, similar to Dallas Goedert's touchdown in Dallas, by a offensive pass interference, that's challengeable. And I'm pretty confident that if we challenged that, it would have been reversed.
How do you feel about the celebrations, Jeff? I mean, now you have a possibility of 48-yard extra point. Without being enforced that offensive team.
Okay, well, a little background, I guess, on celebrations is I've always carried the water on celebrations in terms of I'm all for celebrations, and I never wanted to see us. I voted against every curtailment of celebration policy that's ever been put out. If this policy results in a lessening of significant celebrations, then I will move to change it. But my hope is it'll just make it efficient, and you'll have great celebrations, and we move on. Fans want consistency and they want efficiency, but it's not meant to curtail celebrations in the slightest.
As you know, Nick Foles has a
Yeah.
unique spot in kind of Eagles history.
Yes.
How challenging was it to see him leave, and your personal perspective on his spot in this franchise?
Yes, it's a great question. Nick, as you all know, exceptional person. There's no understating it. Exceptional person, and it was hard. We went through every alternative we could think of as an organization on how to proceed here. Really, in the end, I think Nick really did want to have a team to take control of and be the guy. He had just, come off winning a Super Bowl, almost taking us back to the Super Bowl. And we know him so well. We're so close to him. I think we just felt like this is what he wanted. And it wouldn't have made sense to franchise Nick. It just wouldn't have been the right thing to do. He's going to be, he's a legend in Philadelphia. He will always be. He's a part of our family forever. And we're all really close to him. And he and Carson, they're different and so terrific, both of them. And they both, I think, benefited from each other in so many ways. And it was just a great example of a player we all loved, and doing the right thing, and supporting him with other teams. I mean, I would get asked, what's Nick like? Can he be dynamic for anyone but you, and all that? And I just think it's part of our role, my role. I take it personally to absolutely be honest and let people know how wonderful he is and what a great leader he is, and terrific quarterback.
Did you influence the decision to? How he said that we're not going to franchise him.
It was
the timing of that. Did you have any influence on that decision?
It was, I would say certainly Howie and I had long discussions about it, and we thought the sooner we do it, the better, because we wanted to give Nick every opportunity to be in the best possible situation and not have a team not worry that we were going to potentially keep him and not have the opportunity to start, because there aren't that many opportunities. We were also, to be honest about it, hoping that he didn't end up with the Giants or the Redskins, and that was part of it. We were very confident that he was going to play for Jacksonville.
Jeffrey, you mentioned Doug and the job he did this past season.
Yeah.
Could you expand on that, and then also talk about the growth you've seen from him since he became the coach?
Yeah, I mean, really, he continues to impress and continues to grow. Just tremendous respect from his fellow coaches and the players. That, as an owner, that's what you look for first. I'd heard that one of the research I certainly did, and Howie did with Doug was with Andy, And they had a period where they lost 6 or 7 games in Kansas City one year, and he said the most resilient guy on the coaching staff by far, Doug Peterson. Never forgot that. And I thought of it last year when we were struggling a bit. Incredibly poised and optimistic and dealing with ways to straighten out the team and get everybody and always brings people together. He has a dynamic to always bring people together. Nobody's pointing fingers. No one's blaming, a sluggish offense or a special teams is not doing as well or a defense. Nothing like that. Doesn't let it happen. And what can I say? Very, very impressive and terrific guy to work with. And I think surrounds himself with really good people. And players around the league have a real good idea of what Doug's all about. Genuine. And in today's world, I don't care what business you're in, when you're genuine, when you're human, when you're honest, and you have integrity. It gets back to that word integrity. It's powerful, It's very powerful.
On the Thanksgiving proposal again.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you withdrew it because it didn't have enough support.
Yeah.
What was some of the feedback from teams, I guess, aside from Dallas and Detroit, on why they weren't for that?
You know what? All we heard from was the competition committee said there wasn't enough support. So we just it was meant really to start to analyze the impact of away Thursday short week games and should that be spread evenly. It was just a manner of doing that. It wasn't focused on the teams that were involved. It was we do a lot of data analysis of schedules and things like that in short weeks, and because you're going to try to prepare and recover and all those kind of things. And one of the things that came up was the difficulty sometimes of short weeks on Thursdays.
Why do they
away.
play at home? Why do they always? I mean, it's one thing to play on Thursday, but they always play at home. That's your biggest issue. Not that they play.
Yeah, that's the single
they
issue.
do it every year, so they have an advantage over every team in the NFC East. Correct?
Correct.
Would you like to change overtime?
I would, Michael. I would like to change overtime. We talked a lot to the competition committee about changing overtime. There's a lot of ways to do it. Personally, I don't like the shortened overtime in the regular season because I think it gives even more value to the winner of the coin toss. So if you get the ball first and you have a 7-minute drive or 9-minute drive, that's taking up 70 to 90% of the time period of regular season overtime now. It makes no sense to me. Someday I hope we can get that changed. And there's a lot of ways. I think another possibility is try to avoid the coin toss and have other mechanisms. One of the things I floated was to the team that scores the most touchdowns has the advantage of getting the ball first. Often it'll be a tie, but those times when you score more touchdowns, reward that. You want to avoid a coin toss as best you can, I think.
Whenever you mentioned, when you found out that there was a chance Deshaun Jackson could be brought back to Philadelphia, what was kind of your reaction to that?
Very positive. We've all kept tabs of Deshaun very closely ever since he's been gone, and he's got very close ties to our organization, our players, our executives, and we've watched him and his maturity, and it's not the first time we tried to bring him back. We finally were able to, and I'm glad we have him.
A year and a half ago, Carson, as you mentioned, was possibly the MVP of the
Yes.
league, but since then, he's had to come back from knee surgery. He's now had a back injury, and then there was questions raised about his personality and whether he was a selfish teammate. How do you view him in terms of his personality and how you tend to rebound from those struggles?
Yeah, I mean, Carson is, as I said before, when you write it up, it's exactly how you hope. I think we all love very intense, type A, driven quarterbacks, and very talented. And he's a terrific leader. He's from day one on that team. Every position, every player I've talked to, and we've all talked to, are sort of just impressive young man, very impressive young man. And that's Carson, very impressive young man. Different personality than Nick. That's great. That's great. We had the benefit of two outstanding personalities. But Carson is kind of the way you draw it up.
The player tracking data that was made available, how valuable did you find that as an organization? And also, would you like to see that data be released to kind of the public sphere as well?
Great question, Sheila. We make terrific use of it. I told you a few years ago, I thought it was a very important aspect. We use it as best we can, which is a lot. I would like to see almost all data in the public, to the fans, and I think that's where we're headed. It's, as we head towards more legalized gambling, towards more online betting, whatever it's going to be, there's going to be increased utilization of data for the casual fan and for the avid fan, and I'm all for releasing as much data as possible. Not medical data. That's a whole other question. Yeah, but I mean, I think the more informed we can all be and understand strategies through data, player evaluations through data. It's a tool. That's all it is a tool, but it's a very, very valuable tool.
I really should forfeit my question for jumping the gun there.
No.
Those traits that you talked about with Carson, Type A, and all were
Yeah,
painted in a negative light by one story in
Yeah.
particular. Did you have any conversations with him? Or I don't think Doug said he didn't even bring it up to him.
No, not at all. But he's the wonderful thing about Carson. He's humble. He's smart. He's got a feel for every type of person in the building. He's as nice to the janitor as he is to his left tackle. He's just one of these guys that's, again, getting back to high integrity, genuine guy, and a regular guy. And, you just, you hope if you find a very talented quarterback that he has those characteristics. And we're lucky to have that.
Thanks,
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Happy we didn't ask you about the